When it comes to memory competition and training, there are two main types of training. So let's say I'm trying to memorize some faces and names. So let's say I'm given 10, 15, 20 minutes. So the goal here is to memorize as many names as possible in that given amount of time, right? So that's a time-based memorization. Now let's take the opposite. The other type is amount-based. So when you memorize a deck of cards, you have 52 cards every single time you memorize a deck of cards, right? And the goal here is to memorize those 52 cards as fast as possible. Now the thing is, most people keep that training specifically to cards. They don't give themselves, I don't know, maybe 5 pages, and so that's 6 names. So there's 2 names for each one, so that's 60 names that you're trying to memorize, right? And so people don't really apply that to names, words, numbers, that you're given a specific amount every single time, and you're trying to memorize faster and faster and faster every single time instead of trying to memorize more and more and more in a time-based memorization. And it's just great to change it up because you start to pick up different things in the different training. Of course, when you memorize a deck of cards and you go really fast, that does apply to memorizing more and more cards when you have like 30 minutes or an hour card event, right? But when you look at the scores, it doesn't really add up, right? So someone could do a deck of cards in, 1 minute, and you have 60 minutes, you would think, hey, you get 60 decks. No, because you have to start reviewing once you start pushing how much information you're trying to get at one time, right? Because if you're trying to do 50 decks of cards, guess what? You might have to review because those one in the beginning might be a little bit fuzzy. You might have some repeat images, so you might get confused with decks later on. And so it's a different thing that you're learning once you're pushing for a lot of information in a time-based memorization, right? You have to start figuring out, okay, do I have to review? When do I have to review? What's the best time? So you figure out all these different things. And amount-based memorization, you're figuring out, okay, how can I go faster, faster, faster? What's tripping me up here and there? And so when you combine both of them together, man, do you have amazing results because you're learning specific things from one type and specific things from the other type, and putting them together, you're just able to memorize so much more information in a time-based memorization because you're like, I know what trips me up all the time. I know, how to overcome this XYZ, whatever it may be. And so you really do want to change it up when you're training for memory competitions, the type of training that you're doing, because there's a lot to learn in these two different types. And for the most part, those are like the main ones out there because pretty much everything can fall into one of those two categories in some aspect. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.